Lesson 2 is about knowing your brand, that is your personal brand and your business brand. And then we're going to use LinkedIn as a platform for today's show, for today's episode. And we're going to focus on LinkedIn and how to demonstrate who you are, what you stand for, what your business is about, and put that on LinkedIn. In order for us to create a content strategy and a strategy that works for you, that's going to draw your audience in, you have to understand yourself and your business thoroughly, your USPs, what makes you unique, in order to be able to convey that in your messages. So you'll be pleased to know you're not going to be creating a video right now and you're not going to start posting content immediately. I'm going to show you how further down the line, when you do need content and you're wondering what should I post, you can draw from the exercise that we're about to do now about your personal brand. So let me show you something that I use with my clients that should be in your workbook to help you unpack some of those personal branding and branding questions. Your personal brand is made up of the following categories. So there's personal background and identity, experience and expertise, challenges and fears, aspirations and goals, qualities and values, storytelling and pivotal moments, hobbies and interests, relationship with clients and community, work style and approach, vision and legacy. Those are the categories that we're going to be going through, but you're going to be going through them in a lot more detail within your workbook. Now, these are my personalized categories that I have put together to help people understand deeply what their brand is about. Because when I ask business owners, what's your business? Or, who are you trying to attract? What do you do? They're like, yeah, we just work. It's very generic. We just work with anyone and anyone who needs a mortgage. Or, yeah, we do construction. We can just build anything. Or I'm a coach. I can help anyone lose weight, gain weight, put muscle on, shred, whatever. So the point here is to get crystal clear on your offer, who you are. But also this document is absolute gold. I am giving you so much gold in this document because it actually allows you to think of content ideas. So once you get this document right, you will be able to endlessly write content because you will have many anecdotes and stories to draw from. It's so exciting. Let's dive in. So personal background and identity. This section is a nice, easy way to ease you into understanding a few stories that come to light, right? A few stories that come to mind. Now, you might be thinking, gosh, is this psychotherapy? Is she taking me down memory lane? And, is she trying to psychoanalyze my childhood? No. What I'm trying to do is help you rediscover your stories, help you rediscover what makes you you, help you rediscover what makes you authentic and unique, because a lot of people, when they post on social media, they just sound like everybody else. Whereas from now on, I want you to sound like you, like nobody else can copy you, because these are your own stories. Not even artificial intelligence can copy you, because this is going to be your personal story. So in this section, for example, to give you my take on it so that it gives you a clue as to what to do for yourself. If I'm looking at the question, for example, if you could describe your personality in 3 words, what would they be? I would say that I'm very direct, very fun and engaging, and I've got loads of words to describe myself. I'm enthusiastic, but I'm also very serious and strategic. So you don't have to be strict with the words. Like, if I say describe your personality in 3 words, this is how I would describe myself. Now, why is that important? Because when I show up on stage, when I show up online, I make sure that I am true to those descriptions. I'm honest, enthusiastic, I wear yellow, I show up as my brand. So when you see me showing up in yellow and feeling all vibrant and energetic, I'm not telling you that I'm energetic and enthusiastic, I'm showing you. One of my favorite one-liners is facts tell, if I can say it right, facts tell, stories sell. I heard that once like 15 years ago and it stuck with me, and it's so true. If I understand my background and my identity and my personal story, I'm able to show up as myself, and that really makes people connect with the true version of me. So another question in that category is, for example, can you describe your journey to where you are today? What's been the most important turning point? I mean, come on, if you've never seen my journey before and my story, That has been a fundamental, crucial part of my whole existence when it comes to launching my business and putting myself out there on social media. 5 years ago, or whenever you're watching this, in 2019, nobody knew who I was. I was barely active on social media. I was more active than most. In comparison to me today, I was barely active. But in comparison to how other people were using it, I was a superstar, although I did not think so. But I only had about 2,000 followers on LinkedIn. And today, at the time of recording this, I have 20,000. And I did that across a 5-year gap. So that goes to show you that where I started to where I am has been a huge transformation. And my turning point, my story, so what this document is allowing me to think about is to document the journey. So how did I get here? So I would be writing down, for those who don't know, I said it at the beginning, just as a quick reminder, in this section of the workbook, what I'd be writing is my redundancy story. I'd be saying, I found a job that I absolutely loved. Remember I told you the Dubai story? That came from this. That Dubai story, I didn't just think of it on the spot. It's something that I've practiced. And over time, after speaking at many speaking gigs and podcasts and events and online, I've designed a story and I know how to deliver it and how to portray it to you. So that Dubai story, and the story about me being made redundant, and the story about me starting a business with no money. I also, my business started, like I said, with no money. I had to borrow my husband's laptop, and it actually started on an ironing board. That was my desk. So that's a story. So write down those pivotal moments because you're going to be using them in your content. So I just want to show you the art of getting the detail of this document right and how you can build an entire business using these stories, just like I've done and just like I'm helping hundreds of clients do the same. So experience and expertise, that's the next section. In that section, for example, you're pretty much writing the facts, like your CV, your history, things that you're good at, your strengths, your weaknesses, your background, what skills you have, what job experiences you've had in the past. For me, that's been crucial when promoting myself and my personal brand and putting myself out there, because I've had 10 years in the property and finance industry, which means that when my audience look at my experience, they can relate to me, because my ideal customers have for a long time been mortgage brokers, financial advisors, protection advisors, people in property. So they can see, okay, Rosalie is in the industry and her background has been in that space. So she gets me, right? She understands who I am. That's why it's important for you to capture, well, what are your skills? What are your experiences? What industry are you in? That's really important to capture, because when you're sharing your story, that's going to relate to people within that same space. And the rest of the document is self-explanatory, really. If you go through the workbook, you can see that there's sections on your challenges and fears, but there's questions that will prompt you to think about those pivotal moments or those memories that you've stored away. But once you unlock them, they can become your brand stories. They will be a powerful tool for you to be able to share with your audience. The document then goes further into storytelling and pivotal moments, hobbies and interests. Now, that's also key, because understanding what your hobbies are and what your interests are, that's going to be that common ground that you can find with your tribe. And you think this might be a silly exercise, but actually knowing what your activities are outside of work will help you to think of content that isn't just about work. Lots of people just come on social media and just try and sell you a mortgage, or they try and sell you their PT services, or they try and sell you their IT consultancy services. I don't necessarily need that right now, but I would love to get to know you as a person. So your hobbies and interests, and knowing how you go about your daily life. I've got clients that are lawyers, but they talk about what they do at the weekend, that they like spending time with family. I've got financial advisors that are actually really at the top of their game when it comes to paddle or tennis, and they like to show that they are sports people, right? I've got others that love a holiday, so they talk more about their holidays than they do their work, but they build a community around that. So please don't underestimate that personal lifestyle piece without being private. Now, this is something I teach very often, is that there's a difference between being personable and private. You don't need to put your private life on social media. So if that's what you think social media is about, please stop yourself right there. Other people are more comfortable with showing a little bit more, like about their, their ups and downs and, what goes on behind closed doors. That's down to them, okay? But if that's not comfortable to you, remember what I said at the beginning, you don't have to do anything that you are not comfortable with. But to talk about hobbies and interests and lifestyle, it's not too private, I don't think. And then finally, the document ends with things like, relationships, clients, your community. Like, for example, if you are, I've had brokers before that are in the Jewish community or the Asian community. If that's part of you and your life, that's part of your brand. Don't ignore that. Okay. That's part of your life. So put that in the document as well. Put that in the workbook, because this is what forms you. I've got a client, for example, who is part of the Asian community and is connected to so many accountants and solicitors and lawyers, and actually tapping into that as his personal brand and tapping into that on social media has massively changed his business. His business is now unrecognizable in comparison to where he was 2 years ago, because he's been able to tap into a community that he already had. When I looked at his document, I was like, you're really well connected, but you're not using it. And he's like, yeah, but they already know me. I was like, but you assume that everybody knows you and that you're getting leads from all these people, but actually you're not. And the minute he tapped into that community and we set up something on Facebook, like a group, we set up a WhatsApp community, we did an event, he started waking up those connections that he had lost. So that's why this document is so important to get right and make sure you're answering everything. Then there's work style and approach, vision and legacy, and that's it. So you've got about 50 questions. I know, 50 questions, but trust me, once you have this document solid, then you can jump in on LinkedIn with me, because we are then going to convert that knowledge that you have into content and brand presence. But there is one more step before we go on LinkedIn.